Angus, Doris Lusk, Margaret Studdard, Elizabeth Kelly, Juliet Peter, Doris Lusk. I mean, all those women had a real influence on me. You know, most of them I knew well. And they were the way, it wasn't so much that they influenced the way I painted. What they did was allowed me to be professional, to think of it as my life, you know, to pace myself, to construct my life around my work and force the life I did lead to be part of my work. You know, if I was, here I was, married with children, right, well that also must be part of the whole. Right now, it's going to be equal numbers of men and equal numbers of women, chosen by us. So that was it. And it was a huge social success because, to my astonishment, Rita was very social. You know, I mean, she had connections and she got an ambassador to open it and asked all the rich people, you know, the right people to ask to an opening. And it was very successful and established, curiously, the men in it were very critical of my including Rita, who, after all, was part of she was selecting them, actually. It wasn't round the other way. But they were very critical of that. And afterwards, they were talking about gem-like painting and superbly thoughtful and poetic and blah, blah, blah. It had all turned around. Fragile sort of identity hanging on to it, of saying, you know, but I'm here in the kitchen, hey, watch, look, take notice. But I think it was too a very real feeling that male artists who I was friends with denigrated painting, the sort of painting I did, and especially garden painting like Margaret Studdard. And when you think that they would, at the same time, as I used to say to them, you will admire a Japanese early print, wouldn't they? They'd think, oh, delicate and lovely, blah, blah, blah. And I could see that when they said that if I was a socialist, I should be painting men digging holes on the road, or working class men. And I said, so women slaving in the house aren't workers, is that it? They don't work, just the men are working. Whereas a working class woman will be working twice as hard as a man. She often had also cleaning jobs and all sorts of other jobs. It's all changed very rapidly now, which I think is a very good thing in this way, that being political in paintings now suddenly become very popular, and which I think is great, you know. But when in 1990, when I went to Elam to teach, I was told by other lecturers and by students that politics and art ruined the painting. Funny enough, it was middle-class women particularly who used to always say to me, oh, I don't know how you could do that. I mean, I couldn't do that. I think I'm too private a person, and I would find that humiliating. I mean, you know, showing that sort of thing, unmade beds or things like that. Oh no, I couldn't do that. I'd say, well, don't try, then just give it a miss, just leave it alone. And they couldn't paint, if they were ex-students, they couldn't get back to painting if there was still dust under the bed, was one of them. I thought, Christ, well, that's endless, kid. There's always going to be more dust under the bed. You can bet on it. Of course. About showing things that I think are relevant to everyone else. But I certainly have my private life, which I don't think is anyone else's business. And in my mind, that is all perfectly clear. I've tried now and then, I've done the odd painting with acrylic, but I don't like, and funny enough, when I went to America, I was amazed. I went to the gallery in New Orleans, and it was interesting. They had a lot of early acrylic American classic painters from the 50s and 60s, you know, when it first started, and abstract. And they looked terrible. They were hanging sort of dead on the wall. The acrylic paint had sort of bled out all the energy, wasn't there. Whereas I went downstairs and they had some Victorian painting of the bayous or things like that. They were marvellous, you know. You thought, oh God, you know, what's happening here? You know, I did a complete turnaround about what was good painting. I didn't. I mean, I sometimes had abstract qualities in my work. I mean, after all, balance and colour and balancing out colour has always been part of the Renaissance rules, you know, of painting. That if there's a large area of red there, you have a smaller section of red there, and then perhaps a tiny bit of red down here, so that there's a sort of tension here. That's always been one of the Renaissance rules of colour. And the same with shape and balance. In fact, I used to always turn my paintings upside down.
Did you?
Yes, and I remember Tony Thomason coming in and saying, gosh, you're doing abstract painting. Isn't it wonderful? Oh, I'd like them. I said, no, it's just upside down, Tony. Painting's in charge. Once you sort of lay it out, you're not in charge of it anymore. And if you try to be, then it loses its impact and its magic. For me, it does. Intent is one thing, and I think they should know what my intent is. And then after that, well, it's over to them, isn't it? I was trying to, I had sent a thing from QE2 that the ones who had won the grants, there were 3 who'd got grants that year to go to America or do something. And I had over Christmas to come up with 3 paintings for them to exhibit to explain why I got this, new paintings. Well, this is school holidays, for goodness sake. You know, how thoughtful. So I was standing in the kitchen trying to think, you know, I started painting the kitchen and then thinking what? And then Alex came screaming into the room where Augusta was lying across the table doing something, having a hangover or something, I suppose, and screaming at her, my skirt's in your fucking room. And the 2 of them were, ugh! And I thought, that's it. I said, all right, you girls, you can contribute. You're posing for the woman who bursts in the door, Alex, and you're playing the victim, Augusta. Right? And they were called the first punks in Auckland at the time. And I thought, well, they can pay their dues, you two. I don't think so. I don't think it's changed at all. I think everything is within a capitalist structure, in my view. It is literally impossible to have equality. It isn't about equality. It's about not having equality. So how can you impose? It means upper class women will have more equality, or those who clamber up the ladder to recklessly serve the super rich, as in the National Party now, those women. I mean, those women are quislings, in my view, who have taken up the space that people like me made for them. And they are using it now to their benefit and have pulled the ladder up behind them. Good on you, girls. Clever. No. I mean, I might have pressure to become polite. I've certainly learned how to totally ignore it and not even know it's there. People do say I do it to shock, and I say, no, I don't. It's nothing to do with shocking people. It's the compulsion I have, which I wish have the luxury, in fact, at this time and place, at my age, to indulge.